The L-L League made headlines back on May 6th, approving a football merger with Berks County, combining their 13 teams with the L-L's 24 teams, creating a new 37-team mega conference. And this new alliance of the area football teams isn't set to hit the gridiron until 2022, so there's plenty of time to hammer out the details, look over schedules. But in the meantime, we wanted to hear from our 4 local football squads to get their reactions and their input about the new merger. So let's welcome in now Cocalico head coach Brian Stroll, Ephrata head coach Chris Miller, Manheim Central head coach Dave Hahn, and Warwick head coach Bob Locker. Guys, thanks for joining me. It's great to see you. And as we get right into this, Coach Locker, as I mentioned, you're coming up on your 20th year as Warwick's head coach. So let's have you lead this whole thing off. It's quite a change here for the L-L League. So what do you and Warwick think of all this merger talk?
Obviously, if you look at the votes, we voted for the merger. Mr. Landis is real good about contacting me anytime that something like this comes up. We talk about the pros and cons, and I'm usually a pretty matter-of-fact person, so I'm going to throw this out so we kind of get it out there. I look back to the last time that we sat down and talked about the Berks teams coming here, and we passed on at that time, and I'm just speaking for myself and for my school. We kind of looked at it as 24 divided by 3 equals 8, and I'm not a genius, but that's a basic math problem, and we'd have been good with that. That's what we were used to. We kind of thought that's the direction it was going to go, and like I said, schools do things based on what they think is correct for themselves and for the league. In the end, it is a democracy, but I go back to 24 divided by 3 was 8, and then that didn't work out. That's fine. We could have kind of lived with that a little bit, I guess. It caused some issues, but I'm just going to be honest. Once we went to 4 sections, this just became a terrible model. Trying to find non-league games, we got lucky. We wound up with LS, Ephrata, and Penn Manor, but I know some schools have struggled. And I'm just going to give our example. We're going to play CD East. Okay, when CD East comes to us, what are they going to bring? 150 fans, and when we go to CD East, maybe we're lucky and take 200. It's a difficult situation, and one that I thought there were better alternatives to.
Okay, good to hear. Let's let somebody else jump in on here. Manheim Central's head coach Dave Hahn. Your thoughts, Manheim Central. How did you guys react to this idea? Obviously, we're a part of the approval, so let's hear from you.
Well, I was involved with the talks back in 2 years ago when Tommy started the talks for the merger. When we had the Berks coaches and ADs there, I was involved with it this last time as well. And Bob's right. The first time, not a lot of schools were really for it because we've worked so hard to get back to 24 schools in the league. But then when we did get the 24 schools in the league and we didn't go back to the 8-team section model, we were disappointed in that. A lot of people were disappointed in that. I don't want to speak for everybody, but when that happened, then they came up with the 4 sections, created all these non-league games, mandatory crossover games, which not many coaches like the mandatory crossovers. We do have to travel. We've got to go to Cumberland Valley. We've got to play Perkiomen Valley. I mean, we pretty much have a 6A schedule, and we're I think 3 boys away from being 4A. It is what it is. But when that all plays out and you ask us what would we rather do coming into this new model, we wanted Berks in because now you have sections that are 6A in Section 1, 5A in Section 2, predominantly 5A in Section 3. I think there's 1 4A. Section 4 will be all 4A schools, and Section 5 they have Class A, AA, and AAA, which makes it easier for them to play in that section and then still get their non-league games. They're not being asked to play a 3A versus a 5A or a 2A versus a 4A. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, and
better than what we're going into.
Okay, and I understand that, and we will jump into some of those potential sections that we're hearing some rumors. Let's head over to Ephrata real quick. Let's get Ephrata's thought. You know, as Berks and LL were getting ready to combine, here's a couple of the attempts were denied. Now we're heading forward with this 37-team conference. How does Ephrata feel about kind of what's transpired here over the past few weeks?
Yeah, obviously we're excited. We benefited from the past 2 section realignments. We understand that, but moving forward as we look to build our program, I think it's important that we continue to play better schools and bigger schools. We're not where we need to be as a program yet, but we're working there. So I think that Berks merger allows us to get more 5A schools and be more competitive, and also not hurt the smaller schools as have been forced to play us at 5A or 6A.
Okay, so there you heard from a couple of those schools that were part of the 19-team votes that were in favor of the new football merger, but there were also 5 votes against it, and those were Donegal, Elko, Octorara, Penn Manor, and Cocalico. So we have Coach Stroll here, and we would love to get the opinion of the Eagles and kind of why you guys decided to vote against the merger here.
Thanks for singling me out right away there, Chad.
Sorry about that.
I think it comes down to going back to Coach Locker showing off his math facts. I mean, the 24 divided by 3 equals 8 was the main reason why we had said no, was that we thought just going back to that system, and when I say we, I had conversations with our athletic director as well, and we thought going back to that model was the best solution for keeping the current rivalries that we have. I mean, we're very happy where we're at and where we've been in Section 2 with the rivalries with Manheim and LS and Salang and some of those schools that I think we kind of wanted to keep that. Are we better about it? No, by no means. And considering what we're going into for the next 2 years with the 4 sections, we prefer having Berks into that. So I think it's a move in the right direction from there. The no vote was simply because we felt 3 sections of 8 would have been a better way. With what's upcoming with the crossovers, I think the majority of us don't like that. And I think of like a Manheim Township who we play, we're now a 4A, them as a 6A playing a 4A school. I'm sure they're not happy about that. And just, getting away from that, I think is a good thing.
Right, and we're referring to district PowerPoints there. A lot of it, gets into the details there as well. I understand that. Appreciate all the thoughts there. Let's move on to something a little more fun to talk about, and that is the 37 teams having to be split up into different sections. Okay, now from what we're hearing from the several sources we've talked to, potentially 5 sections in this new LL League. Section 1 would have all the big fellas, the 6A schools in it, and that would make up about a 7-team section there. So then Section 2 would be very fun to watch for us here in the Blue Ridge coverage area. That would be all the large 5A schools, and grouped in with there would be Governor Mifflin, Lebanon, Exeter, Muhlenberg, Conestoga Valley, and Warwick. Now, Coach Locker, this is where we bring you back in. As we kind of talked before we came on here, you spent most of your coaching career in Section 1. Now it looks like there's a possibility you could move back down into Section 2. How do you guys feel about the new matchups that would potentially be there and how Warwick kind of fits in with the rest of those teams?
Section 2 has been an outstanding football section for years now. We just always kind of went by the numbers, and we were in Section 1, and let's be honest, boys, there were some years we didn't look like we belonged in Section 1. We had some rough patches, but numbers said it's where you're at. Going to Section 2 is going to be an interesting thing for the next 2-year cycle. I haven't been to Solanco in a long time, so there'll be new games to figure out some new stuff. We'll continue to play Manheim Central, which is good. It's kind of cool to play some new teams. Flip side is, you're in a section for a really long time. I enjoyed playing the Wilsons and Townships of the world when we were up there. But, it's a new time. Our student population is not what it used to be. So it dictates that, we go to Section 2, then we'll be in Section 2.
Yeah, very interesting. You talk about student population and enrollment and all of that. Another interesting move potentially here, Manheim Central is one of the smaller 5A schools currently. And from what we're hearing, trying to move up to Section 2 to join the party. So Coach Hahn, this one's for you. What was the Barons' point of view on potentially making this move and heading up to Section 2 with those big 5A schools?
Eventually you're going to have to play the big 5A schools. 5A is 5A. We just thought it was a better challenge for us. So we petitioned to move up. I think I last heard that E-Town has agreed to that. but I don't know if that's been confirmed. So we'll find out.
Okay, potential matchups with Governor Mifflin, Muhlenberg, Exeter. Any interest there in something new and fresh for the Barons here on their schedule in a few years, I should say?
We're looking forward to it. I mean, we just want to be in the right section. We want to make sure that we're in a competitive section, can play some good games. We'll build new rivalries. I mean, I understand where Brian's coming from, and I agree with that. But we've gone through this in the past too, where we used to have CV back when I first started coaching. CV was in Section 2, and then they went to Section 1, and Warwick was up and they were down. And you kind of build those rivalries. Then I think in 2004, Cocalico came in, and then LS, and we quickly built rivalries there. So I think that's going to happen as we move into this new league too.
Yeah, very cool, very interesting, and we can't wait to see kind of what develops here. You mentioned Elizabethtown. As we move on to Section 3, if Elizabethtown were to move down, switching with Manheim Central, then that could possibly create Solanco, Daniel Boone, Twin Valley, Fleetwood, Garden Spot, and the Ephrata Mounts. So here we go for Coach Miller, a new home for the Mounts again here. Tons of new matchups to talk about. How do you guys feel about the landing spot that is being rumored out there?
I think we're pretty excited about it. We've scrimmaged Twin Valley before. My first 2 years here, and for us it's an easy commute. Hop on 222 and we can get to anywhere in Berks County rather quickly, so that's not a huge issue. And there'll be some natural rivalries I think that'll come in just being so close to each other, but we're excited about the competitive balance of the section. I think there's a lot of similarities in the teams in the section, and we look forward to it.
Okay, and then we'll be able to move on to Section 4 after that, and I kind of feel like it's going to be the Wild Wild West down there. Very interesting matchups in District 3 playoff teams currently. Now, this isn't going to happen for another 2 years, but Lampeter Strasburg could be down there, Donegal, Conrad Weiser, Octorara, Elko, Wyomissing, Berks Catholic, potentially Cocalico. Coach Stroll, you're stepping into a new situation here with the Eagles. When you see the makeup of this section heading your way in the next few years, what's your reaction, especially with all these new matchups that are coming your way?
I certainly think it'll be a major challenge. I mean, you think you have us as the 5A champ, you've got LS as the 4A champ, you have Berks Catholic, who is the 4A runner-up, and then rumor is that Wyomissing is trying to move up as the 3A champ, all in one section. Plus, you got Weiser and Elko, who have been a lot of in the playoffs consistently, and I think it'll be major challenges. So I look forward to building a non-league schedule too. That'll be challenging there as well. I know, talking with our AD, the other 3 coaches on here were all schools that we'd be interested in playing and keeping those rivalries too. As you enter some of the the new territory with the new sections, I think trying to keep some of those other rivalries in play is a good way to balance out your schedule too.
Oh, we will get to that, so don't spill the beans there just yet. I have plenty to ask you about all of that for everybody here on the panel. I just want to round this out for everyone. Section 5, it sounds like, would then be made up of the smaller schools involved in this merger, so the likes of Kutztown, Northern Lebanon, Hamburg, Schuylkill Valley, Anvil, Cleona, Lancaster Catholic, Pequea Valley, and Columbia. Now we can get to scheduling, and this is also an interesting part. I think a lot of the coaches were looking forward to a little bit looser and friendlier territory here. So Berks L-L football merging, making it easier for people here. Coach Hahn, is this something that you were looking forward to? Are there some positives here potentially?
With the merger, they're looking at 7 teams in a section. So what you're going to have is 4 non-league games, but Tommy Long has told us that he is going to work to have a crossover game, but it's not going to be mandatory. So they'll have a set crossover game for us. If we want the game, both teams agree to it, then they can play that game. And then that's going to put you at your 7-game schedule, and then you'll have your 3 non-league games at the beginning of the year, which goes back to allowing you to have that flexibility in scheduling. So that we're looking forward to. Who we're going to schedule, what we're going to do. I mean, that's going to be a discussion between our AD and myself, and we really haven't gotten to there yet.
All right, cool. Well, let's move on to Coach Locker here. You're not going to be in Section 1 as you were used to. There's some popular rivalries that exist on your schedule currently that you won't be with in your new potential Section 2. So, for example, Manheim Townships and the Ephrata. So is Warwick going to make it a priority to still schedule these, or are you going to go, how's the mindset here? Are you going to go with some other new opportunities? How do you balance that as Warwick?
Well, apparently Cocalico just offered, so I'm going to call my AD when I'm done here, and we'll get the contract work started. Because being honest, that would be a tremendous non-league game for us. We would bring fans, they would bring fans, and part of what has to happen, or what should happen in a non-league game, you can talk whether you want to or not. When you fill the stands on a non-league game, it's a different feeling than, hey, I was stuck picking up so-and-so, like I said earlier. No offense to CDEs, but they're not going to travel well to us, and we're not going to travel that well to them. So you look for a Cocalico. Certainly Township would be an option, but trying to find non-league games that bring something to the table would be a high priority for us. And I would love to continue to keep playing Ephrata because of the Mail Trophy, but that's a sentimental thing for me a little bit because of Coach Mail. So.
Well, I think between the two communities, it's, a nice tradition, and I think people would probably like to continue that. Speaking of traditions, here's one, Cocalico and Ephrata. Fresh scheduling start here between 2022 and 2025. Ephrata and Cocalico haven't played since 2016. I know the fans are calling for the backyard brawl to return. Coach Stroll, I'm going to put you in the spotlight here again. Does Cocalico want to get back on the field with Ephrata?
Certainly, we'd love to. Like Coach Locker mentioned, I think there's backyard rivalries, and it's great for the communities. It's great for the kids. We'd certainly love to play Ephrata again going forward.
Okay, so we'll throw it over to Coach Miller at Ephrata. This is your chance, 2 years, get the schedules reworked out. Is Ephrata trying to get back on the field with Cocalico?
I think we were excited this year for the next 2 years to set up the scrimmage. For whatever reason, the non-league game didn't work out. So at least being able to play them in a scrimmage, I think it's nice. And then as far as the next cycle, we're kind of in the same boat as everyone else, trying to figure out what weeks we have open and match up. And we've reached out, I think, to some teams that we've played in the past on our non-league schedule to try and keep some of those. So I think that's definitely on the table. It's just a matter of matching everything up. Okay, we'll cross our fingers and we'll look forward to it in a couple years. Guys, plenty to do still. Lots of fun to learn about all the details whenever those start rolling out. Can't thank you enough for joining me today. Good luck with your teams this summer, and we look forward to another fantastic football season this coming fall.